And you are listening to Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined this week, per usual, with Nicole, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are y'all this week?
Hello.
We're doing great compared to you.
No, it is Fanboy versus Hydrocodone. As there have been rumblings on it. The long story short is I ended up having surgery this week, and so I'm maybe just a little out of it. So if bear with us this week, but we've got a ton of comics. I could not miss this show. Definitely wanted to be here to talk the end of Brightest Day, which is what we'll be talking about at the end of the show, as well as tons of other stuff. FF, Amazing, Gen Lost. I mean, just tons and tons of good stuff. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out though to Stuart Dark Ages, because you know what this is? This is Windcharger.
I don't see it. Put it in the other screen.
I'll do this for
Oh, there he is. All right.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So anyway, that came in the mail yesterday. Thanks, Stuart. You rock, sir. So
who owns your soul now? Say his name again.
it says Stuart Dark Ages from the Old Oil House podcast.
He's my co-host on the Random Phantom. It's her boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's Miss Explosion.
God, this is a tiny little incestuous podcast.
I know, aren't we? It's like college all over again. Anyway, so not a lot in the way of news, although, as we talked about last week, we were much envious of Chris McFeely and our British friends because they got to see Thor this week.
Sure did.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about it? No spoilers, please.
No spoilers. Don't worry, no spoilers. It's awesome.
Nice. Is it Iron Man 2 or is it not Iron Man 2? Because Iron Man 2 was a little bit not good, in my opinion.
No, for me, this is on a par with the first Iron Man.
Awesome. That's the right thing.
That's what I would say. I honestly don't know what they could have put in this film to make it any more perfect as a Thor film. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything, but like every time I tilted my head to the side and thought, I wonder if they would do it. Whatever it was, like whatever I thought that they might put in from the comics to go, they would then do it. And, it's like, this isn't a spoiler because this is like the first 30 seconds of the film. Like, as soon as the casket of Ancient Winters popped up, I knew we were in good territory.
Nice. I just watched that episode of Avengers like the other day.
Exactly, yeah. As soon as that popped up, I was practically gripped onto the arm of the person sat next to me. Oh, look, you see that?
I hope it wasn't a stranger.
Yeah, really, that would be funny.
It was Jeff. It was all right.
Oh, wow.
So Jeff got some McFeely loving.
Oh, absolutely. If there had been a stranger sitting there, though, I might have exploded because there would have been no outlet. So it's a good thing he was happening. I mean, I'm not sure what the mainstream appeal of Thor will be. Above anything else, it's a very solid, it's just a well put together film. I thought like they might start things on Earth, then fill the Asgardian stuff in like backwards, like just fill it in as flashback, or they might start things on Asgard and then Thor would get sent to Earth and Asgard would drop out of the picture for the most part until it needed to come back later. But there's a surprisingly strong balance between the two worlds throughout the film, because although it's his name in the title, like the whole rest of the cast gets a very strong showing. Everybody gets something to do. Heimdall gets a surprisingly important little small story arc to himself. And Loki as a villain goes on as much of a journey towards becoming a villain as Thor does becoming a hero, I mean, I've heard a few people say they didn't think Loki was evil enough or whatever, and I'm like, that's kind of the point, he's not. It's really a film that is it's a film that's almost as much about Loki transforming from the god of mischief into the god of evil, because the stage is really set after this film for him to be the baddie in Avengers, if that is truly what's going to happen.
How do the costumes look? Do they look
pure Kirby? Really,
Nice.
I mean, just seeing it all in motion up there, they really. I mean, they don't. I imagine there'll probably be some mythology nerds will be kind of annoyed by it. I mean, although it's not like I don't really think you could read Marvel comics and really expect the film to follow the mythology precisely anyway, since the comics don't in any way, shape, or form. But it's like, I could see some sort of academic having a snit fit whenever the opening montage shows that Odin loses his eye in the war with the Frost Giants instead of. Yeah, there you go.
What?
Spoiler!
No,
First 30 seconds.
that's wrong. You can't. It's the well of mirrors. Damn. Anyway.
But
And so we've already got JD's opinion of the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go see this. It's not historical.
Yeah, I don't know what else they could. I don't know what the mainstream appeal of the film will be like, because it is a little bit more. It's a lot more flighty and fanciful. Whereas I say it's on the par with Iron Man, I say that as like a comics nerd.
I've heard that from a lot of people, though.
Well, I just look at Iron Man, and I always said about Iron Man before it came out was that I had good hopes for Iron Man because I thought it was a very mainstream appeal sort of concept. Pardon me.
Bless you.
It's a very. I always thought Iron Man was a very blokey, manly men's movie for men about handsome men with lots of money and fast cars, betting attractive women, and flying around in a robot suit.
That sounds like Iron Man.
It's a manly film, and then sweaty, shirtless Robert Downey Jr. is for the ladies. Whereas I don't know how much of Thor's setting has that level of mainstream appeal. But
If Thor's walking around without his shirt off, it'll work.
He does that a fair bit.
See? It's got my attention already.
It's a very solid balance of action and drama and comedy as well. When Thor is on Earth and just trying to adapt to life on Earth, there are a lot of good, really solid laugh out loud moments in it as well. It's a great balance of all the scenarios and a lot of different approaches, and it draws on all these little bits and pieces from. I mean, the freaking cask of Ancient Winters, I did not see that coming. And
I don't want to know who's in it, but can we expect surprise cameos from other Marvel characters? I don't want to know who's in it, but I just want to know.
Just don't answer that question. Just let that go.
The answer to that is no. There are already enough characters from Thor's supporting cast that are going to be in this, that they basically make up the entirety of the already fairly large cast as it is. I mean, there's a feast sequence where it's like, okay, this is not really a spoiler because it's more about what's not in it than what's not. Balder isn't in it, which I didn't even realize until the thing was over. I was like, wait a minute, what in that? But that's just because everybody else does such a good job that you don't notice the Balder-shaped hole in the cast. But I did spot a character with very, very fair white hair in a feast sequence, and I thought, that's probably Balder. That was as much. That's about it.
Did you make sure you stayed for the Easter egg at the end?
I did it. Yeah, you have to stay till after the
Stay
credits.
after the credits. Okay, good deal. Awesome. Well, I'm excited. I'm really sad. I had preview tickets to go on Saturday morning, and I just could not muster the strength to do it. So, hopefully I'll get to go see it this week. But
I remember somebody did say to me when I said I don't know what else you could have put in that film to make it better. Somebody said Beta Ray Bill, and yeah.
They got to save something for the next movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what you need to see.
Now, there's a question. Does it end with you knowing there's going to be a sequel?
It has a very open ending, but it's not like a load of plots are left hanging or anything. Pretty much everything that goes on in the film is solidly resolved in the film, but it ends quite. When I say that it ends openly, I mean it ends with one of those endings that gives you hope that these characters will have further adventures in the future without demanding that they be told. It's not like the end of Iron Man where he goes, "I'm Iron Man" at the very end, and it's like, well, shit, what happens next? That's not that sort of ending. It's a pretty, if this were to flop through some bizarre miracle of space-time, you would feel satisfied with what you get in that film in and of itself. But there is definitely, let's see the best way to phrase this, there is definitely substantial ground that is going to have to covered in Thor's personal story between the end of this film and any involvement he would have in the Avengers. I think that was vague enough.
Okay.
If that made any sense through the vagueness.
Yeah.
Now all you got left is what, Cap?
Mm-hmm.
Is there another
Yep.
coming, or is Cap the last one before Avengers?
No.
I think so. Yeah, Cap's the last one.
Yeah.
No Nick Fury in between that's going to come out on February and probably not do as well or something.
No. Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know if I even want to mention this, but I'll go ahead and mention this. Did you check any of the controversy that's been going on, that went on earlier this week about the lack of sexual and racial diversity within the Avengers movie? I don't know if you saw any of that going on. Yeah, there's a bit of a...
Only story on Avengers I saw is, didn't they start shooting? Like they've started?
Yeah, they just started shooting, and they had like 4 chairs set up, and it was like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and
Hulk.
And it's sort of the comment...
Clearly the green are underrepresented in this film.
Yeah.
I demand more.
So, I don't know.
Tits.
Anyway, if y'all didn't
miss
see any
Martian
of that,
for
then
you,
I'll mention. But yeah, there does seem to be a lack of women and a lack of ethnic diversity.
Well, Black Widow's on there. I don't know about ethnic, but Black Widow's on there, and I suppose that we don't really. There was still talk that Giant Man and the Wasp might have some part in it, but I don't know where the status of that idea is these days.
Wasp better be in the movie. Wasp was made for Joss Whedon.
Yeah,
that's like made for him right there.
Really wish they could get like Luke Cage into this somehow, though. That would be.
He could make a cameo.
Awesome.
He could knock somebody out and say, "Sweet
Terry
Christmas."
Crews.
Awesome.
Terry
Sweet
Crews
Christmas.
as Luke Cage. I could see Terry Crews saying things like "Sweet Christmas."
Yeah.
The Rock.
It'd be great.
So anyway,
Rock as well. He is ripped to fuck. So yeah, he could really play.
I think he could play. I think Dwayne Johnson would make an
something.
awesome Luke Cage. I think he could totally pull that off. But
Well, that's one of the characters that was talked about in that Marvel sort of independent films or something. You remember a while back where they were talking about making movies for lesser known
Well, they've been
characters?
talking about making films about a lot of characters. You know, it's Edgar Wright's Ant-Man movie's been in the works for years. They want to do Submariner. They want to do Black Panther. They want to do Luke Cage.
Yeah. So, real quick before we get off the movie, though, I do want to mention we're going to be starting the Screen Views podcast. That's going to be yet another of the many podcasts brought to you by the TF Radio family of shows in association with ENI and CNI as well. And, of course, they're going to be reviewing Thor, I think, coming up next week. Yeah. So,
when is Thor actually out over there?
For us,
Friday.
It is Friday.
Okay, well, we got to take a few minutes for all of us to talk about it properly next week, surely.
Yeah, hopefully I can go see it by next weekend. So, yeah, I should be good by next week. So.
I'll definitely see it.
So,
I go to the movies more than anyone I know, so I'd be seeing it for sure.
But Screen Views is going to be a new podcast. It's more of a segmented style podcast. We're going to be talking about individual things to deal with entertainment that sort of don't necessarily fit in with like our mainline shows. We have the Transformers show, the comic book show, video game show, but this is going to be more for movies and television, things like that. So, and it's not necessarily going to be regular. It's going to be more topical, I think. So that's my understanding anyway. So it'll be like we'll have the screen views on Thor or screen views on a show, say like Game of Thrones or something. So, but anyway, be watching for that screen views. And like I said, I think that's going to be in conjunction with ENI as well. So it should be really good stuff. So it'll be regular weekly, I guess. Brian is telling me now. So one last thing before we get off the news, and we're going to get all these reviews we have. I was talking about Twilight Guardian last week, and I've kind of gone back and forth talking, not in a bad way, in a good way, with Troy Hickman, who's the creator of Twilight Guardian. And he sent me a nice direct and gave me some updated information. One, yes, I did get him on Twitter. So, so
good job.
Go me for getting comic book creators on Twitter. But second of all, let's see, what else did he say? Yes, McFeely was right. Steve Ditko was the inspiration. for the Gulch and then for Twilight Guardian's father.
I can see McFeely's head expanding.
I know,
right
he
now.
was really excited. I told him that earlier in the week. He was really excited. But I didn't notice it, but on the dedication on the first page, it was dedicated to Steve Ditko. So if I would have noticed that, I would have made the connection quicker. But other thing is, September is the trade paperback release for Twilight Guardian. So if you miss getting the regular comics and you want to pick that up, which I highly recommend that you do, check that in September. And actually, Troy's working on the additional information, added information for the Twilight Guardian trade. So if you have read it and you're interested in suggesting things, his Twitter is Troy_Hickman. And just send him some suggestions, things you might want to see, additional materials on the trade. So there you go. There's that. So.
Oh, and Free Comic Book Day is this Saturday.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
McFeely's gonna be extra busy.
Yeah, it's next Saturday. Yeah, it's this coming Saturday.
You don't think so?
I know so.
You're shaking your head like whatever. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's unfortunate truth.
Yeah, I wasn't able to obtain any illicit materials, so but that's probably because I didn't get to actually go in. So my wife had to pick up my comics for me. So anyway.
Is there anything that's been announced as a free comic book? I mean, do we know what's
Well,
coming
you
out?
mentioned
I don't know.
We know a few, right, McFeely?
Well, the only two I can tell you off the top of my head are the Marvel and DC ones, and the Marvel will be worth getting. We should all get the Marvel because it's a new original Spider-Man story by Dan Slott and Umberto Ramos.
Oh, I'll probably miss out on that
Get that.
because my comic store probably won't get me one.
Well, you need to get up and get out there then.
I know.
My shop has all kinds of nice sales.
So Marvel offers brand new story by two regular top of the line creators. DC offers a reprint of the second part of a 3-year-old Green Lantern story.
Yay!
Yeah,
Somebody ripped us off.
it is the second part of Secret Origin, and there's a couple of preview pages for Flashpoint in the back.
Nice.
But I'm unclear if the pages of Flashpoint that are in there are like new pages, like for this, or if they're just the first couple of pages of Flashpoint. Yeah, and honestly, I'm leaning towards the latter, given what they decided to put out for the main book.
Cool. Okay.
Not really, no.
Cool. No, that's cool. Like, great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, wonderful.
Glad you went through all that trouble to really promote. So, yeah. Anyway, hey, we've got comics, tons of comics.
Lots of comics.
I'm excited for one of Triplet's comics because
Which one's that one?
I get to hate on somebody that I already hate on. So,
Yeah, the whole other side.
so there'll be a little bit of controversy to talk about. But go ahead, Triplet, get us started, sir.
Well, I guess I might as well just do that book first. That's I guess
Yeah.
you're talking about Action Comics.
I must be
900.
talking about Action Comics.
This mammothly huge comic. This super expensive $6 comic.
Was it
of
worth
Action
$6?
Comics. No, it was not.
Okay.
I mean, well, as far as content-wise, yeah, it was. I mean, it's jam-packed with story. There's a main story, and there's, let's see, there's, what do we got? 1, let's see, 2, 3, 4.
Probably a contents page in there, dude.
Four backups, one main, and what is basically it's not really a comic, but it's like a screenplay storyboard or something by Richard Donner.
Oh.
So you get like tons and tons of content. You get your money's worth as in far as content, but your stories it just depends. Like some are better than others. Like the big deal about this is I believe this is Paul Cornell's last issue. I don't think he's sticking around after.
I don't think
900.
it's his last issue. I
Is
don't
it his
think it's his last issue. I don't think so. I think it's just the last part of Lex. It's
the end of the Lex Luthor stuff, at least. I just assumed that when that was over, he was probably done. But maybe I was wrong.
So.
I don't know. But so it's like the end of that. But the problem that I had with it, which Kilby didn't even notice this because I guess he's not been reading Superman or something, is that okay? There's been kind of two Superman stories that have been running. There's been like the Lex Luthor thing, which hasn't really had Superman in it at all, and that's all been action. And then there's been like kind of like a crossover. It's like Reign of Doomsday. Have you been reading it, McFeely? I haven't been reading it. I have
Not at
no
all.
idea
No.
what's going on.
I mean, it's barely a story. It's been bouncing from comic to comic. The first part was in the.
It's barely
was
a
in
story.
the it's been in the first part was in the Steel one shot from January, and the second was in an issue of Outsiders, and then another part was in Adventure Comics, and this might be the fourth part. No. The fourth part was in Batman Superman Annual, and then there's this part.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so that's kind of my biggest issue with it, because like if it would have just been okay, that's a backup, and like the main story be the conclusions of the Lex Luthor thing, I would have been happier with it. But instead, what they do is they sort of combine them. So you've got the Lex Luthor stuff, the finale with it, by like Pete Woods doing the art on it, and then you've got like the Reign of Superman stuff being done by another artist, by Jesus Marino. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't play very well. It just doesn't work. It's confusing. Like all the Doomsday stuff, I've not read any of it. So I'm like reading it, I'm thinking, what in the hell's going on here? I mean, why is this being intercut with it? And
Is it part of the story, or is it just intercut pages? Like, could you take the Doomsday pages out and be left with Lex Luthor's story intact?
Well, part of it you could, but then there's like a little reference in the story that Luthor makes to the Doomsday stuff. I mean, like, I don't want to spoil it for you because obviously you're waiting for the.
They've already solicited the hardcover in this month's previews. They're not wasting any time. I mean, the thing's not out in September still because DC doesn't actually solicit its trades in the month they come out. Good, no, wouldn't want to actually be helpful like that. But they have actually solicited the second hardcover already, so. It's big because it's got 900 in it, but I wonder if it's going to have everything from 900 in it, or what they're going to do.
So I wonder if they're going to put like the Doomsday stuff in it. It's what I'm wondering, because I don't know.
That's why I'm wondering, could they literally take the pages out? Because I am not interested. I'm reading this because of it's Lex Luthor's story, and I gave it the most vaguest of casual flippings because I'm trying not to ruin it, but I needed to look at the issue to see what the whole fuss was about, and I'm a bit disappointed to see that they have overlapped two stories like that in the final stages.
Yeah, so. and the stuff with the Lex Luthor stuff, I enjoy it. Still, it's not the ending I was wanting. You know, you know what I mean. Like this started so strong, and there was several good issues, and then it just kind of started going downhill, and I don't think it ever went back uphill again is my problem with it. And I like this. I think it's good, but it's not how I wanted it to end. There's some good stuff in it. It feels like a 900th issue of Action Comics. I'm not saying that this is like something that should be like in an annual or something stupid like that. I mean there is a real finale, like real ending to the Lex Luthor stuff. But because it gets intercut with the Doomsday stuff, I'm just going to warn you up front. It's to be continued. And I hate that because I feel like if it's issue 900, this should be the end of it. You know, there shouldn't be something else. But apparently there's something else that's coming with the Doomsday stuff, which the Doomsday stuff feels tacked on. It doesn't feel like it was meant to be part of this. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I really didn't like that part of it. I like the Lex Luthor stuff. A little bit disappointed in it, but the Doomsday stuff just kind of drags it down even further.
I'll let you know what I think in about 6 months.
Yeah, but there's some backup stories that are pretty decent, and then there's like the infamous one that apparently made the news, and I don't know why it made.
Oh man, it's so much news have been about this. So what's going on? I mean,
it's your time to live.
I've only read what the news has said, so
let me just comment real quick on some of the other short stories real quick. There's one that's written by let's see, what's his name? Damon Lindelof, one of the writers on Lost. And that was kind of interesting. It's basically a story about Jor-El planning to send Kal-El to Earth and what he has to do that's involved with it. And I ain't going to spoil it because it's good. You know, it's pretty cool. It's short. Now, these stories are really, really short, but they got these kind of neat little moments. Good art, too. Check out the art. Look at that. I think it's pretty.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah.
Who's on the art for that?
That is... It's a story called Life Support. Art is Ryan Sook.
Oh, I like Ryan Sook.
Yeah, beautiful art, beautiful art. Then there's a short story by Paul Dini, which is interesting because it's basically about Superman meeting this sort of omniscient, powerful alien or something. It's a really short story, but again, I can't talk about it because I don't want to spoil it. Because these are like almost 3-page stories. A story where Lois wants to throw a dinner party for Clark, where he gets to have dinner with the Legion of Superheroes again, with art by what is his name? The dude
Gary
that
Frank,
draws Gary Frank, yeah, the guy that draws Superman, and he looks way too much like Christopher Reeve. That guy. Yeah, written by Jeff Johns, but it was a good story. The infamous story called "The Incident," written by David S. Goyer, no doubt. You know, Mr. Writing The Dark Knight and Blade and all this stuff. So let's get into that real quick. I mean, it's no spoiler to say what it's about, right? I mean, it's all over the news.
Well, I mean, all I've seen is all I saw was the punchline, though. What's the actual story here?
The actual story is that I guess this guy's like part of the FBI or something. He has Superman show up, and he wants to discuss with him about a situation where earlier in the week Superman flew to Iran, and there was a demonstration that was going on. And people are demonstrating, and Superman gets involved with it. And the big deal is that Superman's always been, I guess, perceived as a member, he truth, justice, and American way. Superman the movie, he's holding the American flag up. He's American is how he's perceived. So he gets involved in this situation, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for America. It doesn't look good because this basically makes it look like this an act of war. This could cause war, or something. Things are not good as it is, so he shouldn't have done this. And all he did, he didn't really do anything. All he did was, there was a demonstration, and all he did was just show up in Iran, and he stood there for 24 hours. He didn't do anything. He basically just stood with these people that were, demonstrating. Didn't say anything. Didn't use his powers. Didn't do nothing. People threw things at him. Some people put flowers down near him. Somebody threw bombs at him. He didn't do anything. He just stood there. And after 24 hours, he flew away. So this guy in the FBI is like, you shouldn't have done that. You're bigger than your suit. You're bigger than the title of Superman. You represent us and all this. And then you get the infamous thing where he says that he's going to renounce his citizenship in America. And he makes a big deal out of, that's not what it's about or something. It's really a nothing story. it's really just a backup story. Yeah. And it's
that's
not
what I've taken
something
away from this.
It's not even something that feels like this will ever be referenced again. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But because it's like 4 pages or something, or 5 pages, it's not very long. It's really, really short. It's basically just Superman just making a point or something, and then like at the end of it, maybe he made a difference because one of the police guys is like is taking a flower from one of the demonstrators. It's really cheesy. Let me just show it to you.
What?
See, look at that. He accepted. It's one of those stories. You know what I mean? It's not like Superman is going to take off a year and not fly. He's going to walk around. That's kind of big news.
Well,
this is like Superman in a backup saying, "I'm going to renounce my American citizenship," and then let's find out in 901 if they reference that. I bet they won't.
How does that even work? Clark Kent lives in America. You can't say that without being a massive hypocrite anyway. That's just dumb. I'm pretty sure Superman isn't an American citizen anyway.
Let's see he quit the Justice League of America because he's no longer American.
Let's
see that happen.
Yeah.
They're now the Justice League Unlimited.
Gold, Blue Beetle, and everybody, and be the Justice League International.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do. Join the JLI. I don't know. It seems.
We can do. Our hands are tied.
I can see. I guess I can kind of see both sides of it. On one hand, it's a comic book story, and it's sort of, this deal with Superman being international or intergalactic or universal or whatever. Superman's been that for years. That's nothing new. I mean, Superman stories have typically been far beyond the borders of the United States or even the world in particular for the last few years. So it's not like that's a big shift for the character. However, I can see where the media might pick it up and people that aren't big followers would pick it up just because it seems like a political statement. You know, it seems like, if you read it the wrong way, it seems like Superman saying that he's fed up with America in particular, and
that's not what he's saying at all. I mean,
exactly.
He's not saying that at all. He's basically saying that I've been kind of thinking too close to home lately. There's people outside of America that still need Superman's help, and he goes there and he does that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that sort of okay? So, to me, this is the bigger point, which seems to be stupid to me. We had a year plus of all these stories where Superman was out doing these galactic things and was doing all this stuff way far away from Earth and, dealing with Kandorians and all of this nonsense. And then they decide, we need to get Superman closer to home. So then he spends a year walking across the fucking country so that he can get closer to people and be more upfront and personal. Now he's saying the opposite of that. Now he's saying he's too close again and he's got to go off and deal with other shit. What the fuck?
Okay.
Bad experiences.
JMS wrote one thing. David S. Goyer wrote this. They did not collaborate, I don't think.
Well, but where's DC editorial on this? I mean, what are they doing?
Superman walked across America and was like, Jesus, America is full of dicks.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
And frankly, this media is not doing anything to disprove him.
There's another reason why this is a backup story and not the main story of Action number 900.
Yeah, but...
By the point you read the main story, you're either disgusted or you're just fed on Superman 900, and you probably won't even read the backups. I didn't even honestly read, because there's so much and I had other stuff to read, I didn't even read this Richard Donner story thing that's in the back that's like a storyboard. I'll show it to you. There it is.
I don't care about storyboards anyway. That's great.
Well, it's Richard Donner. I'll eventually get to it. But like I said, there's like so much crap. Maybe I wouldn't have even gotten... See, I probably wouldn't have even read that story because one thing, the art's not like the best in the comic. It's basically two guys just sitting around talking. They're just standing around talking and everything. And it's like, well, I could be reading that, or I could be like over here where like, Lex Luthor is in space doing something.
I think Warner Brothers, they just need to torpedo Superman. They just need to destroy that character before they actually lose it to public domain anyway, and just unleash it. Just be like, we don't care about Superman anymore.
The bigger issue would be so he's renouncing his U.S. citizenship. The biggest issue would be if he went home and he told Ma Kent, "You're not my mother. I never want to see you again." Oh my God, that would rock my world. I'd be like, "What in the hell's wrong with you, Superman?"
No, I mean, no.
But that's it, it's like he's Clark Kent, still an American citizen, so what are you accomplishing?
Nothing.
Some big showboaty thing.
It's just so Superman can say that he can do what he wants. And,
he
and
always did that anyway.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is such old news. I mean, this is the way Superman has been for a while. It's not like he's only been out of America, for a long time. So it's kind of pointless.
I mean, it's not like I'm supporting the media nonsense that's sprung up around this, but at the same time, I'm not supporting the story either, because it's a pretty dumb idea for a story.
Yeah, exactly.
Superman does not work at his best. If the last year has shown us nothing, it's that Superman is not at his best when he is dealing with real-world problems.
They're too... It's too big for him. You know what I mean?
Number 901, I want him fighting a giant gorilla that's trying to take over Metropolis. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to be pissed off. I don't want him walking around anymore, renouncing his U.S. citizenship.
So Marvel did a better job of real-world problems with the first issue of Fear itself earlier this month, because they kept them nice and vague.
Yeah.
Somebody's building something that we may or may not potentially disagree or not with.
And you know what? There were no superpowers or mind control involved, so that just means some people are dumb. So whatever.
Some people are just jerks.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, that's Action Comics. It's part good, it's part not good. Part just forgettable is what I'll say.
But you say it's not worth the price, though.
Well, like I said, the amount of content you get is feels like $6. But as far as like the what I wanted it for, that did not feel like it was worth $6. Because all I can come away with is a little disappointment. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. There's some really good stuff in it. Like one part, I can't talk about it because it spoils it. And I think it's pretty awesome, but it's just a little disappointing. I hope that if Cornell is staying, I hope that. I know when we might start getting like actual Superman stories where most of it's been Lex Luthor now, we might be getting something different. Maybe he's ready to move on to something bigger and better, hopefully. But it's good. It's good in parts. What else have I got? I got Walking Dead. I kind of like to talk about it real quick. This is the next issue. This is 84.
Oh, this is a follow-up after the kid got shot in the head, right? Okay.
Now, I hadn't read that issue when we talked about it last time because it hadn't made it to the UK for whatever reason. Then I went and read it a few days after the show. And something that we didn't make clear, and which none of the actual things that I'd read about the issue made clear, was he's not even dead!
Oh, I thought I said he wasn't dead.
No, I didn't get that.
I think we said that he probably would die, but wasn't quite dead yet.
Yeah.
I think we were under the impression he's probably gonna die or something because he's been shot through the head for goodness sakes. He's missing an eye, But no. At the end of the issue, he takes him to a doctor, and the doctor's going to try to help him. And we assume that he's gonna die. That he's gonna die from this wound. Until you read the new issue, So spoilers for I don't know if this is worth spoilers or not. I don't know. I mean, because it was a big thing.
Spoilers. Carl's not dead yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
not
really? He didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to come back to it because we were talking about it in the last issue, and this one was pretty good. This is No Way Out is the storyline, part 5. I don't know if this is supposed to be the last part, or if maybe there's one more. I think it's maybe six parts.
The traits usually break down. So.
But so basically, he's taking Carl to a doctor. The doctor's gonna try to save him, but the town is still overrun with zombies. Rick doesn't know what to do, so Rick's like, "Okay, do what you can to save him. I'm gonna stand here in front of this door and hack zombies to death and prevent them from getting in." And that's basically what the issue is. It's basically all of the characters of Walking Dead seeing Rick, basically just doing what he can to fight for his son. Not moving. I mean, he can't run. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to take his son. His son's not stable. Just hacking zombies, and then one by one, the characters are coming and helping him. And basically, by the end of the issue, the survivors have done something they've not done before. They fought 100 zombies. It looks like on their own, without running, because they all believe that Rick's fighting for his son. It's like one of those kind of movie moments where you're like, are they gonna do it? They're gonna join forces and nothing's gonna stand in their way. And you think, oh, is somebody gonna get bit? Because that always happens in Walking Dead.
Eye of the Tiger music playing and
honest to God, Eye of the Tiger was playing in the background when this scene was going on. And basically everybody is hacking zombies away, and then you got this great scene. Let me see if I can show it to you. This great shot of them standing over the dead bodies and blood dripping all over them, and now Rick has something he has never had before in the entire run of Walking Dead. And he basically mentions it at the end of the issue. He's talking to Carl. He's trying to tell him that, we've now got something we never had before. We stood up to him. We've always been running from him, but now we've got hope. We've got hope. We can fight them. We can fight them back. We can, we can exterminate them if we can. He's basically saying, all you got to do is wake up now, Carl. Wake up and see what's happened. So we're left open again. Issue ends. We don't know if it's going to be dead or not. But it's a good. It was a good issue. Because that was just something. I was I did not expect this to happen. I basically was expecting, okay, this is when Rick's going to die. Because I kept thinking that it's coming. Eventually it's got to happen because the dude has been dragged through the arenas over the last 83 issues of the book. And at this point, I just was it's just got to be coming at some point. But no. But Yeah, it was good. I liked it. Carl's still not dead. We'll find out next issue.
Wow.
Jeez, for someone that got half his face blown off, he's doing pretty well, I'd
Come on,
say.
son. Wake up. Oh, a little bit of brain. Let me put that back in. Wake up, son. No.
It's just a flesh wound.
Does anyone have any tape? Here's some duct tape. We can just... Okay.
And I just want to do a quick hit. Venom number 2 came out. It's pretty good. Kraven the Hunter's in it. So yay, Kraven the Hunter, and
He's everywhere these days.
Savage Land and dinosaurs and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, still good. I don't want to go. I don't want to go into too much detail. I'm gonna keep getting it. Amazing Spider-Man, kind of still good. Quick hit on it. Yeah. Unless there's like something major that you want to talk about with it, I don't. I mean,
I just want to say that I enjoyed it a lot more than the last issue.
Yeah, and I don't really know why.
It hasn't drastically, it hasn't drastically changed the tone of anything that we were griping about last issue, but this one is just more focused, whereas the last one was just outright japery, like a little set of, like a little anthology of little ones. I mean, and plus, it's the use of continuity that makes me grin like a bastard on this as well.
I mean, like,
and I don't want to spoil the end, but the end was like, what?
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm reading a Spider-Man comic.
Yeah, really, exactly. Yeah.
But like my problem with it was like, okay, yet again another Future Foundation. I mean, I was ready to move on. I was ready. Okay, we got our Future Foundation issue. Okay, he's doing stories with it. I wanted him to come back to doing like Spider-Man-y stuff, and that was kind of my problem. I see what you're saying, and yeah, the ending is good. The ending is like, oh wow, we are back to doing Spider-Man stuff thanks to that ending. But for the most part, it's yet another Future Foundation-y issue, and we do get a little bit more with Carly, where at the end of the last issue, she now knows that Peter's lying to her.
Yeah.
She knows that he's up to something.
But
but
okay,
like the one thing, oh sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, now how many? Okay, you've got Amazing Spider-Man, you've got Ultimate Spider-Man, you've got what other one?
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, they killed the other books and basically made Amazing run for like 3 times a month there for a while, and now it's running two times a month.
Yeah, it's on twice
Like
a
I said,
month.
I just barely picked up my first Spider-Man comic. What was it, last week or the week before? Anyways,
Probably.
and it seems like it's the same story in both issues. Am I listening to it wrong? I mean, it just seems like you're paying twice the money for just the same story.
No, not typically. I mean, that may have just been a fluke of the last 2 issues.
Well, I think that's just Dan Slott is kind of losing himself in the Fantastic Four japery here.
Do you think?
But like, as I say, last issue was just a selection of shorts, but this one worked for me because just of the just of the real Fantastic Four history that I recognize in this issue. For the listeners, in Fantastic Four number 5. Back in 1961,
I was going to get into that.
1962, whatever it is. Dr. Doom sent Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, and the Human Torch back in time to old piratical days so that they could recover the mystic gems of Merlin the Magician from Blackbeard's treasure chest, as you do. And they didn't bring them back. They swapped them out for some chains. But I don't think that they ever... I've never recalled... I don't think anything's ever gone back to that. And it's just like the idea that Dan Slott
they never
saw
went
that
back
and
to,
decided
because
to
it
go
was
back
so
to it.
ridiculous.
That too.
That's why.
And Slott's like, whatever.
I mean, as history go on, Merlin did really exist in the Marvel Universe, and Doctor Doom did become increasingly involved with magic and sorcery, so it's not ridiculous in retrospect, but they just say...
No. I mean, like, what the Thing does in that issue is why they never went back.
Yes, well, they dumped them into the ocean, and they're the cause of all of the reality warping that was annoying everybody in the last issue or 2. And then it goes zombie pirates.
Yeah.
Zombie pirates? I might have to pick this up. Come on.
Pirates and Beast Boys lyrics.
Yes.
Beastie Boys lyrics.
Yeah.
Pirate themed.
Nice.
And then puts on his Blackbeard costume again,
No, I don't know. But there is like this subplot going on with
Carly. Yeah.
Carly, I mean, that's getting interesting.
She's-
And then there's the
She's getting a
backup.
tattoo. Yeah, she's getting a tattoo of the goblin.
Yes,
Goblin.
that's going to be really interesting.
Wow.
And then there's
See what
this
happens.
the bug time backup, which is getting us into infestation.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Was there actually a 2-page?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Boy, give it to Slot to be topical though with the bed bugs and everything. It's like
Yeah,
oh,
using it, exploiting it.
Yep. Oh wow. So
it's not a bad issue. It's just I didn't think it was like worth kind of spending a lot of time on.
no,
But
it's a
yeah, like-
solid issue.
But like continued stuff with Carly. The Thane is Blackbeard again, which I loved.
It didn't go over very well.
And surprising ending, which we're not going to spoil.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil
shows
that.
up.
That's like that is one of those where you're like, oh yeah, it's Spider-Man. So
Yeah,
Yeah, just in case you forgot what comic you were reading, this
This
ending.
isn't
will
Future
repeat.
Foundation. This is Amazing Spider-Man. Oh yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, that's me. I think. I
Awesome.
think I'm done.
awesome, good deal. Okay, well, Nicole.
All right. Well, I'll start off with a new one again. In case you guys don't know, I'm a sucker for monsters. I love my old-fashioned monster movies. So when I saw this comic, I'm like, oh, I gotta pick it up. It's The Strange Case of Mr. Hyde. So everyone knows the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At least I'd like to think you guys do. So
I have no idea what you're talking about.
yeah. So if you don't know it, in the beginning of this comic, they actually give you a little background of Dr. Jekyll and
Spoilers.
Mr. Hyde. What
You
happens?
went
I
to
know.
see him,
So.
dude.
Oh no! Well, you also get to meet his fiance, so you know that he has. This is before he just turned himself into Mr. Hyde, but it also shows you him experimenting on himself and going out for the first time as the monster, and so everyone knows that story. But then you get a little bit in depth, and you realize that he's gone insane, and the doctor knows that he's not right, so he checks himself into a mental institution. So, and to be severely locked up and hidden away so he doesn't do any more damage. Unfortunately, there's some strange things going on around town, and someone's killing off all the hookers. This sounds so.
Jack the Ripper's doing it.
This must be
Yeah.
stopped.
Well, the thing is, that now that when you say Jack the Ripper, he kind of has a strange, kind of similar look to him. So-
Exactly. It's
Hey.
always Jack the Ripper. Who else would it be?
But the thing is, he's got the build of Mr. Hyde. He's got this long stride, this long gait. He's got weird hair from the evidence and everything. So basically, the story is just setting up who is this other creature that's out there, because Dr. Jekyll is in the institution. So they have the investigators go and talk to him. He's like, well, you got to figure out what kind of game he's playing. And let's just say that Dr. Jekyll's having a fun time messing with the minds of the cops. And he's playing jokes on, making smart-ass remarks. And you kind of like him. You like the doctor because he's messing around. You see his personality and everything. And so, again, it's mostly the investigation, them, quizzing him and everything. So there's really not much to this story to begin with. It leaves you with a cliffhanger of a guy checking in on this other Mr. Hyde, and who is passed out in the alley. So, and you kind of get a little bit of his face, but not enough to know who it is. So, again, it's nothing too exciting. It's a good setup story if you don't know the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but I'd say it's kind of average. Nothing, like I said, extremely remarkable. The art's not. It's nothing to write home about, I guess. So, but I might pick up the second one just to know what's going on. So, that is it. It's one of 4 issues from Dark Horse Comics. So, like I said, nothing to write home about. The next one is the one that we want to talk about, though. It is The Mighty Thor, because it's out apparently. It is here, people. Thor is here. So this story here, starts off with JD's favorite town of Broxton.
Yay.
Do they have a church that looks just like this there?
They have not even.
Are you going to say they don't have churches in Broxton, Jay?
No,
Is that what
okay,
you're gonna
no.
say?
Now that is one thing. I mean, there are so many churches in that area, but none of them look like that. Okay, because Oklahoma is Oklahoma, and not like, I don't know, the freaking East Coast. So
This little wedding bell church,
No, we have things called tornadoes here that tear down big things like that. So you can't have like big steeples and stuff on churches like that here.
We've got to write these. We got to write these people. Say
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's.
Well, so then you see the preacher talking to the congregation, and he's like, "Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the end of the world." And there is some really crazy shading on this last one. Did you guys notice? His eyebrows are shaded to look like devil horns.
Yeah.
Nah.
So
Nice.
I love it. And so you just get a little flashback of what's going on in Broxton. But then you get to the story where you're introduced to the Silver Surfer and Galactus.
I really like that shot of Silver Surfer in front of the
Yeah.
world. That's beautiful.
Yes, that's
Because this is Olivier Coipel back on the art now. The artist
yeah.
who drew Straczynski's run.
this part with the Silver Surfer and Galactus. I like this part. Again, it's a story I know fairly well, but if someone doesn't know the story, it's a good introduction. So basically, yeah, it's your introduction for 3 pages, and the Silver Surfer basically says, I want to be the herald of Galactus, not the herald of death, even though that's what he's pretty much bringing upon the world. So again, another nice little shot of Silver Surfer. They really did a great job with him. So, and then we're back to the congregation back in Broxton. Is it Broxton?
Broxton.
Yeah.
Broxton.
Broxton.
Yeah.
So, and then you just have him again preaching. I didn't really get a whole lot from this page. It's just a 1 page. Basically, they're talking about the big G against the gods.
Just a surprisingly open-minded preacher from Middle
Yeah.
America.
Yeah. Yeah. That also doesn't happen down there.
So, and then we get into, I guess, our third story of this book, where you head on to Asgard. So,
Like,
again,
this issue does not even pretend to be the first issue of a new Thor series.
No.
This is the next issue of Matt Fraction's Thor. This is Thor 623.
Yeah,
Journey into Mystery should have been the one that got the new #1.
Lord,
See, this is what I was going to talk about, because if you haven't been keeping up with the stories of Thor, you'd be lost at this part with Asgard. I could see the Silver Surfer and Galactus story. If you'd never heard it, you could be fine. But this, you're just like thrown into like a story. You're just like, okay, where are they? What are they doing? So,
Well, you get a pretty solid Marvel's recap pages are shit most of the time, but they do appear to be writing a new recap page wholesale with every issue of Fraction Store. It's like most of Marvel's recap pages just use the same stock paragraphs over and over again with a new thing appended onto the end of it, and don't even bother to try and rewrite it to make it sound like any kind of decent recap of what's been going on. But Fraction Store has been getting decent ones, so you could at least feel filled in by that, but still.
so they're basically
This is not Thor issue 1.
No, it's not. That's the thing. The thing is, you don't even know that's Thor in his costume.
No,
He's
you
like,
wouldn't.
But we
I mean,
do find out one of the figures we're getting from the Thor movie is an Aqua Thor, an Aqua Sif,
Deep sea diving apostrophe Thor.
deep sea diving Thor.
this is, like you said, this is issue #1. You're supposed to think of Thor, like he is on the cover. And so the first time you see Thor, you see him, in his Aqua lung.
when they did this with Iron Man, it really was the first issue of a new Iron Man series, because it was about a whole new premise compared to what Iron Man's previous series had been about, and it had been already supplanted by War Machine for the few issues that were the tie-ins with Secret Invasion anyway. So the transition was natural, and it was there, and the series was a fresh start. But there's nothing fresh about this. This is Thor number 7. That's what this is.
Yeah, that's
Starting from the start of Matt Fraction's run. And I imagine probably that's the way the new Captain America series will go as well.
yeah. Unfortunately,
I mean, admittedly, it's not like there's anywhere you could really start fresh.
You're
It's a
thinking
timing issue.
you're thinking since the movie's out that more people might be interested in reading these new comics. They're going to be thrown into these new storylines and be like, you know,
This isn't going to work at all. Fear
Yeah.
itself, you could go and get into. Pretty
Fear
much
itself,
solidly,
yeah,
right?
I'd say
It's a
start off.
four-sentence story.
I'm actually kind of surprised that there wasn't something in this that was kind of tying back to Fear itself.
No, this isn't going to have any
I
Fear
see.
itself tie-ins in it, apparently, the Mighty Thor.
Jay,
Fraction.
did you read this?
No.
Okay.
When do you not read?
Come on,
we sit
JD.
here every time and we tell you how good Thor is, except for the last issue.
I had.
and,
Look.
and you love mythology, and
I
then you
did
don't
not-
read these things.
I
But
did
you
not
haven't
get to
picked
go.
up Journey into Mystery yet.
I did not get to. All I had, which was what was on my pull list, because I didn't get to actually go into the shop. I had to send my wife in. So.
Oh no, you
If you don't read,
Oh yeah, see, yeah, I go play the sick card. Yeah. So.
JD, if you don't read this, at least buy it to look at it because it's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
Look at that art.
I think I'm gonna have to settle for Journey, but we'll see.
So
I think you need both,
forcing
sir.
you to pick a
Both.
choice, pick one between the two. That would be the one to go with. But
So basically, what I'm getting out of it, they're trying to save the roots of the world tree. Is that?
The
Maybe.
seed.
I really don't know what the
See-
hell Action is doing with this.
Yeah.
With
So
tree. It's just as vague here as it was at the
see,
conclusion of
that's
the
what, it's like,
previous
did I miss something? Was it just me? Because I've had lack of sleep, so maybe I missed something. But
Well,
they're
I mean,
going-
like Odin needs it, right? To
Yeah.
do something, rebuild Asgard or something. Is that what he needs it for?
I don't know.
So basically, they're going to the core where they're supposed to get the seed, and they come across some great alien creatures. Triplet showed you some pictures and stuff.
It's an explosion of color under there. It's beautiful. I mean,
It's
this is really nice looking.
it's a lot of pink and purple. Of course, I like it. So
And then you got like big crystally looking worm things trying to kill you. That's what Thor needs. Pretty like art and everything, and then big worm things trying to kill him as he hits him with his hammer. That's Thor. You know.
hmm And then we get to, I guess, our fourth part of the story, where we're introduced to young Loki again. I didn't think young Loki was involved with this storyline. I thought he was more involved with the fear itself. But like I said, I'm not exactly sure. So
Oh, he'll be here
You see-
too. They're all here.
you
Yeah,
see,
I mean,
see
it's a
little
continuation to be in it.
yeah. So he's saying that he needs to go after his brother, and he basically saw this all in a dream, and that's why he doesn't know it's a trick.
I like how he goes down and Odin's like, "There's no more magical chain or something." He's like,
like-
"Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Thor's just gonna have to catch me or something."
No, he's what he says. Oh, Thor will carry me. And I'm
Thor
like,
will
oh,
carry
that's-
me. Yeah.
That's cute. That's really cute. And so you see him in his little dive suit. Not too bad. So, and
I like
the
how
thing,
and he says, "How are you doing? I had a dream you died in a gash made of light and color, so I came to help you with my stick of great stabbing."
the stick of great. Well, the thing that got to me about this is because you've seen what was it, 4 or 5 pages of Thor underwater battling out, and all of a sudden, just when at the couple panels, Loki's down there with them. It's just like it took him no time to get down there.
Yeah.
Hello, brother, it's me. So again,
You really weighted that suit good. That's just what
Yeah.
happened.
sinking like a rock there. But so basically, you see them constantly battle it out. And I don't know if I like this page of just blankness, though.
Oh no, I kind of like it. It's
I can get
kinda,
behind this.
It's kind of empty, but it's beautiful. I don't know if the colors really pick up on the video, but it's beautiful to look at.
See, because I'm like, if I look far back, I'm like, oh, that's really pretty, but I'm like, they could have put something else there, but I guess that's why they have the panels on the side. And
Yeah, well, it's not so much that the panel is empty. It's more that it's to convey that where they are is just they're just right there at the heart of it all, the heart of the light, where the light is brightest, coming from the seed.
That's true. So, well, their battle is done, and they're heading up to the surface, and where they meet up with Odin again, where they hand him over the seed, and for some reason, Thor's just not in the mood to do anything, including women.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You got to see this. I mean, check out Sif. Check out that. Oh yeah. And all
People does draw nice ladies.
Oh yeah. But like then like for the ladies, bump chicky
There's a bit of
bump.
Thor too. Bit of Thor ass crack.
The thing is, he just doesn't look like he's in the mood, So, but
we find out why.
he's not in the mood because he's got a big gash and he doesn't know what's going on with it, and it's like, you might want to go get that looked at.
It doesn't bleed, it glows, and this goes back to what Loki said about his dream. You had a gash that killed you that glowed or something. He even mentioned that when he first found him. So what's going on with that?
Interesting.
And then we go back to our pastor, where he's meeting up with a lady who's just in all types of array. She's like, "What's going to happen? Isn't Jesus going to save us?" And he's like, "Is
real middle American?"
Yeah, and he's like, "Sweetie, everyone dies. Jesus isn't going to save us. He's here to make us stronger." And I'm like, "Oh, you know what? That is a great line right there." So you see that, he seems like a pretty cool guy. And then the last page, I love this look of this last page.
Yeah. It goes with that first page that we saw with Surfer.
And because the preacher on the previous page is saying, with every fiber of my being, I have to believe this, that we are not alone. And then you just see this beautiful panel of the Silver Surfer looking down upon North and South America, and of course it looks like the world. I don't know if it come up with like the little world tree glow right there. That's it's coming through Braxton. So
it has to be Broxton, because that was in the background of the church and everything at the beginning of the issue.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I like the part with the Silver Surfer the best in this issue.
I mean, I liked pretty much the whole issue. The stuff with the Silver Surfer was unexpected, though. I wasn't expecting that.
I thought the things with Thor was a little bit confusing to be a first issue, but like I said, it's
definitely
weird.
No question.
Yeah, not a good first issue.
It's not written as a first issue.
No.
I thought it was still a good issue. It just wasn't a good first issue.
Like I said, for a Thor issue, I like the Silver Surfer part better. It should have been the Silver Surfer issue 1, because you're introduced to Silver Surfer and Galactus. That could have been a great issue 1 for them. But,
well, it's definitely better than the last few issues of Fraction's previous story arc, but then I figured it would be, because that was all about putting the pieces in place for where he wanted them, and now he's able to carry on and do what it is he actually wants to do with this setup. So
I'm
things will all be up from here.
I'm excited to see how they interact Galactus with Thor.
It's got Galactus in it, that's cool. Yeah, we gotta go,
So I'm excited about that.
That bad, it couldn't possibly be worse than the previous issue.
And I guess they have some little art back here for previews for the movie stuff.
Yeah, they're coming out with like an art book or something about the design of the film.
And
art looks good though. The art's really nice.
Yeah. Beautiful face there. Yay. So there we go. There's the Mighty Thor 1.
Journey into Mystery was better.
Oh, yeah. Man, Journey was good.
It's pretty good, but it's that's what I said last week. I'm not surprised by this ultimately Journey just being better. Journey is the Asgardian book, and I will weep if it gets cancelled or whatever, honestly. It'd be a shame and a crime to lose that book over this. Not
And
that
check
this-
out future episodes of Fanboy Versus. See McFeely weep
Yes.
Live on air.
Yeah.
live on air.
And then we managed wailing and gnashing of teeth. Okay. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
That's ours? Okay.
That's it for that one.
Okay. I guess that's on to me then. So let's see. Let me get the semi-uninteresting one out of the way, which is part 6 of the continuing War of the Green Lanterns. Continued
Yay!
this week in Emerald Warriors. Let's see. Last we left our heroes, they were being bombarded, attacked by the Grand Mogo, the planet Green Lantern. Let's see. Heroes escape underground.
I looked at this issue, and it really didn't seem like anything happened in it.
Well, some things happen. There's a couple of interesting points in it, and I'll get to those. I won't harp too much on the main story. Mainly, after our heroes retreat underground, there's a bit of a debate on whether they should stop Mogo or they should get Parallax out of the Lantern, because the Parallax is what's allowing what's his name to control the Green Lantern Corps. Huh? Thank you. Hydrocodone.
See, what pisses me off is you're not sharing.
I know. I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I've got to cook it more, actually. Man. So, anyway, there's kind of a split on what to do. They end up deciding to try to take Parallax out first, even though John is adamant that they've got to stop Mogo. And as they're tunneling under Oa to try to get to the Lantern, the main battery, they find an old, research facility. And in there they find a Manhunter construction facility, like some of the original, genetically engineered Green Lanterns. John finds some guns, so he's very excited about that. But they also find the original Green Lantern gauntlet and power supply that we saw Krona using a couple of issues ago. And there's some debate on whether or not they should use that. So Guy actually grabs it. He actually decides to use it. And they're attacked by really the original Green Lantern, I guess. He's guarding all of this stuff, which they convince him that they're cool. And he ends up letting them go since they're protectors of the green or whatever. But after they sort of get to a split decision, John and Kyle end up deciding to go try to stop Mogo, which leaves Guy and Hal to get Parallax out of the battery. And so they get up under the battery, start to attack it, and they're immediately attacked by the possessed guardians with all of the entities. So, yeah, it looks bad for them. So, but
I think it looks bad for this story. Honestly, is what I was going to say.
It's not going well because the bad thing is that now Mogo is spitting out a bunch of new rings, so they're going to recruit mind-controlled new Green Lanterns in, and I mean he's basically just going to be able to take over the whole universe that way. So it just keeps getting worse. I mean, for as bad as it's been, it's just getting worse for our heroes. So it's going to be really sad when Kyle dies.
About the story or the comic?
Shut up!
I mean,
Shut up, stupid
You're
Jay.
sad on that one, aren't you?
Kyle hater.
it's going to be great when Guy saves the day in his issue of Emerald Warriors, and then it's Hal in his issue of Green Lantern, and then John in his issue of Green Lantern Corps when Kyle dies. So,
Will it be a funeral for a friend where it'll cross over in every issue?
yeah, they'll probably have the whole death of Kyle Rayner, and some people will go, oh, and some people will go, who? He's still alive?
You're a terrible person.
I thought I could have swore he died during Infinite Crisis.
Oh man, I wish Brian
You're
was
a bad man.
I know, so bad. Anyway, hydrocodone. Let's get on.
The San Francisco treat.
Yes. So let's get on to good stuff here, which is Brightest Day, Generation Lost, issue 24, end of the Generation Lost. So, bit of a recap where we sort of get the idea of what Max has been doing this whole time, where he's been, kind of starting with the OMAC technology and then adding on some of the neurological processes of the Metal Men, the genetic projects from like Project Cadmus and the Creature Commandos, and then implementing some of the battle augmentation technology from the Reach technology, and then adding that in with Ivo's Amazo technology, and you see where he was able to build this OMAC Prime that not only is a big badass robot, but is able to also acquire abilities as it goes and acquire hero abilities and basically just kick some ass.
I think it's a bit weird and perhaps a touch disappointing that everything that had happened in this came down to another fight with an OMAC.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, though, is
okay, it's a super special chocolatey coated awesome OMAC. But
well,
Does he have a mohawk and he's got like skin?
yeah, I'll show you this. I'll show our readers and then our listeners, and I'll show y'all. So there's that for
They're
y'all.
reading
and
us.
Then I'll show this if y'all can see that.
There he is. All right.
So yeah.
Wow, he's ripped.
it's an ordinary OMAC with pants.
Yeah.
Well, he's got kind of boots, and he's a little bit beefier than your regular OMAC. But the OMACs are also Max's thing, so I mean, it's not shocking. We shouldn't be shocked.
No,
by Max
no.
Revolve.
I'm not saying I'm shocked by it, but it's like,
Like I said, it's just kind of his thing. So
Did Wonder Woman break his neck?
No, he kind of beats her up a bit. And like I said, we were left with Blue Beetle, Rocket's Red, Ice, and Fire to sort of fight him, and then Wonder Woman were teleported with him. So Booster's off fighting Max, and I kind of try to get the high. I mean, there's just a lot of fighting in this issue. It's a lot of back and forth fighting.
But Max Lord gets punched in the face really hard.
Yes.
And I'm behind it.
Cool.
Yes, and that does happen a lot. I mean, Booster and him fight quite a bit. In fact, Max even turns off Booster's powers, so they just fight mano-a-mano there for a little bit, and Booster just lays him out.
Dude, Booster used to be a football player. He's gonna kill him.
Yeah, he's the real deal. So.
Yes, Max basically realizes that's what's happening.
Yeah. So we get back to fighting the OMAC, and who shows up to help out finally, which is Captain Atom and Power Girl. But one problem with that, Captain Atom fires a huge fire blast and burns off most of the OMAC's arm, except the OMAC has power absorbing technology. So he takes Captain Atom's powers.
No.
Yeah, and starts to really pummel them. But Captain Atom figures out that was a really bad move on the OMAC by absorbing all of his power out of the OMAC. But, of course, that means that Captain Atom's going to explode, so he has to fly off
Again?
and leave. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's Captain Atom's thing. He absorbs power, and then he has to explode and, go back in time for a while, or forward in time, or wherever he goes.
Or to the Wildstorm universe.
Yeah, or who knows what happens. So Booster and Max fight for a bit, and then Booster grabs Max and jumps out the freaking window. And they go falling through the sky. I don't think Max was anticipating that.
Yeah.
But we get back to our OMAC fight here, and the OMAC actually gains Wonder Woman's powers and just starts beating the dog snot out of her. And Blue Beetle finally figures it out. He finally figures out a way to beat the OMAC. So he starts just laying into the OMAC, and the OMAC starts to fight him and starts to take his powers. Aha! But the Blue Beetle's powers is the Reach technology, the Scarab technology, which he controls. So once the OMAC turns into the Reach tech, Blue Beetle is able to destroy him. He's able to take him over and destroy the OMAC Prime. So, so as Booster and Max are falling, Max ends up turning on Booster's suit back on, which, you know, Booster puts him down to the ground, and some momentary bravado about him going to jail, which then Max mind controls him. But just as Max thinks he's won, who shows back up but Captain Atom? Grabs onto Max and says, okay, here's the deal. I'm about to explode and go forward, backwards in time. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how long I'm going to be there. I might even leave you there when I go back. So you have a choice. Make everybody remember you and what happened, or you're coming with me. So they tussle for a minute, and finally Max lets go. He makes everybody remember him. And then Captain Atom goes off and explodes. And Max ends up teleporting out. He gets away. Max gets away. Yep. So, but here's the weird deal. So Max ends up taking all of the crime. First of all, he completely exonerates the JLI. So he pins what happened with Magog exploding on Magog. So it clears Captain Atom. He clears himself as well. So he pins basically all the OMAC stuff and everything on Ivo. And basically says that, you know, Checkmate is going to be there to, you know, that you can trust the JLI and you can trust me, is basically what he tells America. So, yep. And so yeah, so it's pretty awesome. He manages to clear them, and everybody's from that is cool. And he basically says that him and Checkmate are going to be watching. So now he has full control of Checkmate. He's reinvested trust into the JLI, but he's also made everybody trust him as well, even though they remember who he is now. So, so we have a little epilogue here. Yeah. So we have a little epilogue here, and Booster and Batman are talking, and you know, trying to and the one thing that Max did is he released this video, but he didn't take over any video monitors or anything. He just released it as like a YouTube video. So he seems like an everyman. He seems like, you know, like he's out trying to help out, like he's, you know, trying to help the people out. So so Booster and Batman are talking, and he, you know, Batman's actually saying like what heroes they were, and
you know, Booster, you don't really suck as bad as I thought you did.
yeah, really. And so Booster's like, man, I can't believe it's over, and Batman's, no, it's not over. And Booster's like, well, it sounds like you have a plan. And he says, yep, I do. And so there it is. The JLI is back, baby.
Oh,
that's
my
right.
God.
The JLI is back. It is going to be a monthly ongoing series.
Dear God.
Yes. So
is that another one I'm going to have to be picking up now, too?
hopefully, and hopefully Winnick keeps writing it, because, man.
Yeah.
I would be really pissed if they're like,
it's like, yikes, no thanks.
if they're like, JLI is back and it's with Giffen and DeMatteis, I will like stab myself in the gut, pull my intestines out.
Well, they need a book because they're gone from Booster Gold now.
Yeah, they got booted from Booster, so
they need JLI then.
But what a great arc! I mean, I think this will make a great trade. If you did not read it as a part of Brightest Day, I mean, it's definitely like a side part of the Brightest Day stuff, even though it had stuff that fit in. I think that's going to be a nice trade. I think that it serves the purpose, which is to say that it takes Max Lord and it helps you understand why he's this villain character. It makes him really, I mean, it's like you understand what he's doing and you hate him at the same time, but you don't really hate it. I mean, he's a very likable villain, I guess, in that way, because he's just so damn smart. But he's not overly smart. He doesn't like get away all the time. He doesn't get away with everything. His plans don't always work, but he does make pretty solid plans. And even in the end, if everything didn't go quite the way that he wanted it to, it definitely worked out. If individual bits didn't work out the way that he wanted to, his overall goal was achieved. So, other than not being able to kill Wonder Woman, so But I liked it. I think it's a good arc. I'm excited to see the JLI come back.
It does seem to have been the more consistent book than Brightest Day was.
Yeah, overall, yeah, I think it was a good book. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I don't know when that's going to be. Do you know, McFeely? I mean, when that's...
No, I haven't seen it solicited yet, so probably around the same time these postulated Aquaman and Hawkman things will be happening after Flashpoint.
Yeah, I think they'll give it a little time after all that and then come back. So I'm excited. So yeah, okay, that's me.
But then not waiting until the iron has cooled off too much is a DC trademark sometimes.
Well, and I think hopefully Booster will be able to keep some of that up over the course of Flashpoint.
I don't know. It's all Flashpoint, man.
So, but anyway, we'll see. So, okay. McFeely, there you go, sir.
Okay, I got to do a lot of little pocket reviews here because there's a whole bunch of interrelated stuff. FF! Number 2. Can't let it pass by without talking about it. Don't have a world of things to say about it apart from woohoo. Last issue we found out, as we had long surmised, that Doctor Doom would be joining the Future Foundation. But things do not go as anticipated in this issue. I have to say. It starts out pitch perfect though, because I saw a lot of people complaining on message boards and saying things like, if Ben and Sue react in any other way to the bringing on of Doom to this team than in outright mutiny, that's it for them. Dropping the book. Well, they'll be sticking around then because Ben and Sue are having none of it.
Thing wants to rip his stinking skin off.
He really gets right in there. Doom rocks a white cape, by the way, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I love the fact Doom's in his white and greys or white and blacks, just like to look like the rest of the Future Foundation. It looks really good. It's so wrong, but he rocks the colors anyway, But as a consequence, then it's like Hickman is. Again, it's a sign that Hickman knows what he's doing. He knows these characters well enough to know that, yes, this is the correct way they should be reacting, despite the rather detached approach that Reed and his super smart family members are taking to the whole thing. Hickman really knows that this, as a long-term concept, is not workable because of how the other members of the FF will treat it. So when Sue and Ben storm out for a drink with Dragon Man, the actual members of the Future Foundation sit down to try and discuss. They're not wasting any time. They're getting right to the work that Valeria struck the deal with Dr. Doom a while back at the start of the Casualty storyline, where she and the Future Foundation would help to restore the brain damage that he suffered during the World War Hulk storyline, in exchange for Doom helping her in some way that we don't quite know the extent of yet to amend her father's decision to leave the Council of Reeds that were introduced in the very first Hickman story arc. You see how this all goes back, and their reality-saving ways. So they put Doom in a chair, and everybody gets around him in a circle and just looks at him. and thinks, what do we do here? And there is this really great, like, 2-page spread where Doom is sitting in the chair, unmoving, flinching, as Valeria, like, Valeria's already come to the conclusion, and later on in the issue, Doom says she'd probably already figured it out before she even made the deal. But she just tries to coax him, and he's like, child, you're trying Doom's patience. And he's like, oh, yeah! It's like Doom... You can see the hamster finally leaps onto the wheel, and Doom realizes that basically what they discover is that Doom's brain, the structural integrity of his brain is still sound, so all they need is a backup of the lost knowledge. And it's like, no, for the common man, that's not something you leave lying around. But Doom actually does have such a thing in the form of...
I back mine up every week, but,
yeah.
I ran out of memory.
Saves. He has a backup of his brain in the form of his young ward, Christoph, and we even get a little history of Christoph, which is quite necessary, frankly, because anybody who wasn't reading Fantastic Four comics from, 1991 to 1995 won't know who Christoph is, because he has literally done nothing since 1996, except appear in Christos Gage's Spider-Man Fantastic Four miniseries from late last year, which I talked about, which reintroduced him. And we saw Christoph being appointed King, Baron, Lord, whatever Doom's title is, of Latveria, while Doom stepped down last issue. And then I call this unexpected because I'm just really surprised that they went right back to it right away. It's like, oh, you're back already, I'll step down then. It's like, what was the point of you? But Doom says, no, time is not right. So there is more coming here. So they do the transfer. There's a wonderful moment where Reed contemplates pressing the purge button.
Yeah.
That was great.
I was actually hoping that it might go that direction.
Reed would never do that.
He wouldn't. I know he wouldn't, but I think it would have just been like a real big twist. So.
Yeah. You almost do think, though, that if his dad hadn't looked at him disparagingly like that, he would have done it.
Yeah.
What does the process succeeds after slightly explosive, and Doom is back in form, and I want a poster of this page.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. That is beautiful.
Being reborn, energy crackling from his gauntlet in one hand, mystical forces swirling in the other.
So Doom.
Fires relate, science and magic rekindled, the chains of mere mortality broken. Doom is reborn. Oh yes. And then it turns back to they reveal that Valeria made a deal, which I presume Nathaniel must have known, but which Reed never did, which is that Valeria had made this deal. What part is it, Victor? I agreed to help your daughter defeat you, Richards. So, let's get on with it, shall we?
Yeah.
I like that ending. That was a good twist. That was a good twist.
You can't defy the Reed-Doom relationship for very long. I admit I am genuinely surprised that they went with it. But, again, I'm not totally sure what to make of this cliffhanger. Because, I agreed to help your daughter defeat you. Does it mean you, him? Like the Reed that's standing there, when they say you, do they mean all the other yous, all the other Reeds that are out there? That is not a definite indicator of what we can expect from where this story is going to go. And we still have that flash forward. We saw that one-panel flash forward we saw of Doom from the earlier time travel story where he said, here I can build. We don't know what that means yet. So Doom's, a little dust-up with Reed in the next issue is not the end of whatever Doom's role in this story is. So,
yeah.
Although next issue, whatever it may be, is the end. Well, I say figurative end, but this is Hickman's thing, so whatever ends, I'm sure there'll still be more to come. But this is the last part of this particular story, because the War of Three Cities kicks off in issue 4. There's 2 issues of FF out next month, oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, it's a bi-weekly month for FF. So, just another showcase of how Hickman solidly gets the characters with the appropriate emotional reactions, and yet has room to surprise in interesting ways that...
I like that very last panel. I think there's so much to it. I mean, the coloring and the details on his eyes, and of course you've got his sayings there. You're just like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Look at all that Kirby crackle. Top quality as ever. FF. Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
No.
But of course, I'm a Doom fan, so.
Well, who is not? Everything is better with Doom. Now, the other things I'm going to talk about here in a fairly quick succession are a variety of Avengers. Because this week we got Avengers 12.1, and then in a fit of marvelous scheduling, Secret Avengers number 12, and Secret Avengers number 12.1.
Too much Avengers. Can't read them all.
I would be all right with just Avengers and Secret Avengers, but it's the fact that there are actually literally 2 issues of Secret Avengers out this week. I think that really highlights how little they think of this point 1 issue, of this point 1 concept as being part of the regular chain of the events, if they think it's okay to just bring 2 issues of it out on the same week, But the Avengers itself is... Actually, the thing about these 2.1 issues is that they are some of the ones that are truest to what we were originally told to expect from this. They are still both complete stories. The Avengers 1 features a revival of the overlooked idea that Spider-Woman is an agent of SWORD, the interstellar protection agency from Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men, which Spider-Woman joined up with in the wake of Secret Invasion, when Agent Brand comes to the Avengers and says that Spider-Woman has gone missing, and Steve Rogers is most put out that he didn't know about this organization, and Beast speaks up in favor of it, explains to Steve what it is and everything, and just Steve says, and how do you know about this? And it's like, well, I am an agent of SWORD also. Which was in the very short-lived SWORD series. And they go to rescue Spider-Woman and discover that she has been captured by the Intelligentsia, who are the super smart criminals from World War Hulks. And while I really don't believe Bendis was paying attention to what anybody else was writing with them at the moment, at least they are all out of jail at the moment, with the Wizard having been freed in Fantastic Four, in FF number 1. And
is that by coincidence, though? I mean, more so
I think so, too, because after all, the Wizard was captured in the She-Hulk's miniseries as well. And then broke out, and then was captured again, but was already captured in Fantastic Four back at the start of Hickman's run. So.
You think you're safe using the Wizard, because, I mean, isn't that fairly...
You would freaking Wizard, you'd think you'd be safe. Anyway, the Wizard and the Mad Thinker are written like Bendis characters, which means, which is to say, they sound nothing like themselves. But that's not the draw here. The draw is that the Intelligentsia have picked up and are experimenting. They've picked up on what Spider-Woman was sent to investigate, which is the body of a freaking Space Knight.
A what?
Sweet! Like Rom the Space Knight.
The Space Knight.
Nice!
Rom, unfortunately.
I need to read this now.
Yeah. It's Rom. It's a Space Knight, and everybody they talk around and talk villainy, and then the Avengers are able to track the signature, and a fight ensues. And then there's a rather majestic twist, which proves Bendis actually was paying attention to other things going on in the rest of the universe. And I want to blow it. Everybody okay if I blow this?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, that Space Knight, it is a Space Knight, but in the middle of the battle, the Space Knight turns itself on. It stands up, and its head changes shape. Because that Space Knight is Ultron.
Oh, no!
Ultron was in space during Annihilation Conquest like 3 years ago. And he's back from space. He put himself in a Space Knight, and he shot himself at Earth.
Oh,
Nice.
my God.
Wow.
And I didn't even think too much of it at the time. I mean, woo, Ultron was my default response, because that is the response to Ultron. But then you have to realize what the Avengers, and particularly Iron Man, know off the back of this, is that now that Ultron's back, that means the future that they saw in the first story arc of Avengers is not far away. Ultron's domination of the human apocalypse is coming. And it says at the end, coming soon. The Age of Ultron.
Ooh.
Next, itself, but coming soon, The Age of Ultron. So there are definitely pieces in play, and perhaps a little more credit must be given to Bendis for that first story arc than we first thought. He's got a nasty habit of doing that lately, revealing that things actually are more far-reaching than we thought they were. So that's Avengers 12.1. Probably the best issue of Avengers I've read in the last 6 months, to be completely honest. Yeah. So
Well, there's a good little twist to it. That's why.
It's drawn by Brian Hitch as well, so you get that going for it.
Sweet.
Now, Secret Avengers, I'm going to deal with these in conjunction because this isn't really about what these issues are about. Secret Avengers number 12 is Ed Brubaker's final issue on the series. And it is, once again, second part of the two-parter, The Trouble with John Steele, in which Captain America projects himself inside John Steele's mind to find out what happened the last day he saw him years ago during the war, and we're no closer to finding out what the deal with the Cowboys was.
Ah,
Oh,
I really wanted to know.
Well, we do find out basically that the Shadow Council are. Let me get the precise quote.
I just want some more of Mac's theory. That's all I need.
Yeah, that really made that first story arc. But they're the original sore losers, sons of a revolution that failed a long time ago, and I was running from them when we all stumbled into a portal, a path between time and space, and the things we met inside changed us. And that's all we get for the Shadow Council. Like whenever Steele went missing during this mission in World War II, it was because the Shadow Council were in this castle that he and Captain America penetrated, and he knew them at the time, and he was on the run from them then, and they took him back then, and he's been with them ever since. That's what he's been doing with them. But we're no closer to actually understanding it, and Brubaker's leaving now, so God knows what's going to happen. Frankly. Still a fairly solid issue. I mean, it's better than some. But I like just the incorporation of John Steele. Then, 12.1 is the first issue by Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer has been making a bit of a name for himself in the bigger, more mainstream comics world lately. He really made the name with Morning Glories, his series for Image, which I just read the first trade of this week. Not a planned lineup, but very, very good stuff. Morning Glories Volume 1 collects the first 6 issues of the series, but really it's more like 7.5 issues worth of content, because the first issue is literally double-sized, and the 5th one is like 30% extra. So you get and it's $10. Okay, so
Wow.
Morning Glories is about a boarding school, which it centers on six teenagers who discover when they arrive at the illustrious Morning Glories boarding school that they all share the same birthday, which is a very sinister start. And then basically, whenever they start flooding the classrooms to get them to answer questions, and they find the giant, mysterious, spinning metal power generator in the basement as they try to run away from the shimmering purple ghost figure, it's kind of like The Prisoner if The Prisoner was set in a boarding school. It's like they ring home and none of their parents know who they are. They're isolated, completely sealed off, unable to leave the school. And the school is working. There's some sort of cult going on in the basement. The school is working towards some sort of evil goal, and it involves picking through these children until they find the one they're looking for. Really solid works, solid characterization. The 6 characters, you immediately know what each of them is about. Mysteries in their past are set up. Very good, very worth checking out. Morning Glories, Volume 1, $10. Definitely. So, having read that on Tuesday morning, I was definitely in the zone for a little bit of this come Wednesday. He's also been writing Iron Man 2.0 for Marvel, which I admit I haven't been reading, and Thunder Agents for DC. But he has just been signed Marvel exclusive, and he wrote the Jimmy Olsen stuff for DC as well.
Yeah, I like the Jimmy Olsen stuff.
He just been signed Marvel exclusive though, so not much more Thunder Agents for you.
Yeah.
This issue is about let's see. Briefest way to describe this. A man wearing a US agent costume steals a secret government data bank which contains all the uncensored names of every superhuman whistleblower. Every member of Hydra or AIM or whatever criminal or Magia or any criminal underground organization who's ever leaked information to the government, and he's released it worldwide. So the Secret Avengers have got 30 minutes before the executions start, and they have to figure out what to do. And I read a rather hilarious post about this issue on, I think it was Comic Book Resources, and it said that for anyone who's been reading the last 12 issues, this one will come as a bit of a shock, because Nick Spencer has decided to introduce a large new cast of characters to the comic. There's this blue furry guy named Beast, and there's new Ant-Man, and would you believe they put Moon Knight on the team? Yes.
Wow.
Wow. Remember that name?
Suffice it to say, as I lauded Onslaught Unleashed for a month or two ago, this one makes more use of the whole team of Avengers in proper situational events where their personal knowledge and expertise is allowed to come into play in a way that actually makes them function as a team instead of Steve Rogers and company. And it's all, despite the fact that, well, it's the first one that really feels like it's dealing with Black Ops problems. It's dealing, and really it's an inversion of the concept, because it is about how, they were created, the Secret Avengers are supposed to exist to deal with these threats in secret before they become world class. And now it's like their secrets are the ones that are out there, and they have to fight, they can't put the genie back in the box. So it's a real inversion of the whole concept of Secret Avengers. Even though in the last 12 issues, the Secret of Avengers have summarily failed to live up to their concept. So it's like, it's cool that you've inverted it, and that doesn't affect the quality of the story, but it's like we had to go through a year of that. Even well, I suppose maybe what I'm saying is that even though they never really lived up to the potential of their concept or even tried following through on it, basically amounted to fighting perfectly normal superhero battles at night was basically what Secret Avengers ultimately led to. This, as an inversion of the concept, works and this is a single one-shot story again, even though I'm just repeating myself. You know what I'm saying.
So is it safe to say don't cancel Secret Avengers yet?
Thus far, I'm going to say yes. I really enjoyed
Awesome.
it. And he's only sticking around for like 4 more issues to write their Fear Itself tie-in. But Warren Ellis is taking over it after that, and this should be right up his alleyway. So I think Secret Avengers, this is a drastic, sudden upswing in the quality of Secret Avengers. And frankly, you could jump right on this with point 1. It's got to be like the first. You could really do it with the Avengers 12.1 as well. But these 2.1 issues of the Avengers this week, you could, honest to God, jump on the books with these. And in the case of Secret Avengers, you really should. Dramatic upswing in quality, much improved use of the team, as in any. Nifty inversion of the concept that works, even though the concept's never truly been exploited to its fullest. And it's just damn good stuff. So you should read it. Yeah, there we go.
Sweet.
And who's on the art for this one? This is Scott Eaton is on the art. I'm not sure if Scott Eaton is drawing these. I presume Mike Diodato has left at this point. I don't know why, but he hasn't drawn the last 2 issues of the series, and I would presume Scott Eaton is probably drawing this. I like Scott Eaton; he's good, and his style lends itself very well to this. It's not as drowned in shadow as a lot of Diodato stuff has been. Not that the shadowy style didn't work for the concept of the series, but I don't know how you managed to stagger around on the bright red planet of Mars and still be cast in shadow, Yeah, good book. Definitely read it. If you haven't tried Secret Avengers, give this one a go now. It's a good jumping on point, which is shocking because none of the other point ones have been.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's me.
Okay, McFeely, I'm going to lean on you here a little bit. Why don't you take us through Brightest Day?
Let's get this out of its bag.
Yay, we all have it.
Yep, this is it. This is the end of Brightest Day.
Brightest
24.
Day, all over.
Okay.
24, 1 year later.
Can we cue up the theme to the Swamp Thing animated series now?
Do. You are amazing.
Oh my God.
Sing it, McFeely.
Everything nasty. And we'll move right on.
Okay.
Oh, come on! I like being sung to.
Okay, so I don't think when Brightest Day started that anyone could have presumed it would come down to a giant Godzilla-style fight between good and evil Swamp Things.
No. When no. And, yeah. I mean, who would have even partially conceived of
That was
that?
awesome, though.
Yes, it was rad.
Yeah.
And, that's basically this issue. Now, I don't really need to give you a blow-by-blow because that's what happens. And in the course of everything, Captain Boomerang throws his boomerang at Dove. And Hawk fails to catch the boomerang, so I don't get it. Because the boomerang, Deadman throws himself in the path of the boomerang and dies again. I think we all saw that one coming. We knew they weren't going to keep him alive. And it is his sacrifice that it's like a life for a life. So with Deadman's death, Alec Holland is fully restored to life and becomes the new Swamp Thing. So, what was the point of giving Hawk that mission? If he was going to catch the boomerang and stop that from happening?
Well, does it?
Well,
the
I mean,
light say something?
in theory, he could have stopped the boomerang, and
Yeah.
if
Could he
he
have
would have
died?
stopped it, then there could have been another sacrifice made that would have preserved Holland.
Nah.
Or he could have jumped in front of it and died himself.
I thought that he needs to catch it, as in he needs to catch it in his chest, and he needs to die. Is what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think if
I
he would have
guess
done
maybe.
that, I think it would have fulfilled the mission the same way.
Yeah.
If he died, then it wouldn't have been given his life back, wouldn't he?
No.
But he doesn't have it back now
Contrary to-
anyway.
Well, anyway, a Swamp Thing comes back and becomes giant Swamp
Can I
Thing.
just say that I was right, by the way? Because essentially what Johns did is he paid complete homage to the Alan Moore Swamp
So-
Thing and then overrode it with the original history.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we all pretty much expected that one because it's from the Silver Age, and this is Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
We find out that what's happened is quite simply, as unclear as it was last issue, is that just as Swamp Thing once believed that it was Alec Holland, Necron's corruption of the planet has now overwritten Swamp Thing and led it to believe that it is now Necron. So you get Swamp Thing tainted by the black versus the new Swamp Thing, which actually is, per the Silver Age origin of Swamp Thing before Alan Moore rewrote it, Alec Holland is Swamp Thing now, and they fight. And the elementals, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Firestorm, Martian Manhunter, and the other dude, Aquaman, will go
The other
inside Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is perpetually the other. Aquaman is perpetually the other dude. And they go inside Swamp Thing and they give him super element powers. And then he stakes the other Swamp Thing by turning his...
Cool.
Kind of awesome.
Cool.
I mean, Swamp Thing's body is created out of the Star City forest. And he stakes the other Swamp Thing with the tree, with the Brightest Day symbol on it that we've been seeing for the last year. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The dead man is still dead. But he does get to say goodbye to Dove before he fades away completely.
Oh, he's pissed, though, too, and I love this bit, though, with him, because he's just like, okay, let me go, let me move on. The White's like, nah, we can't do that.
The White Lantern is such a dick.
Yeah.
God.
Total dick. I mean, what would have been caused by saying, right, lads, see, the Swamp Thing is going to come back and we need you to be ready, hey.
Because
What was accomplished by all of this dancing around the fucking point
Because-
for 20...
I have a theory, and that is that the White Light is Jeff Johns, and because Jeff Johns is a dick in this series, so is the White Light. Because that's not the most dickish thing that the White does in this whole deal. We're getting to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. This the thing about the whole thing here is Brightest Day is essentially over halfway through this comic. And then, whereas Generation Lost's backdoor setup for a new JLI series is quite organic and grows out of what has happened over the course of Gen Lost. The second half of this comic is rather suddenly and arbitrarily setting up an arrangement of new status quos or new cliffhangers or new missions for all the characters to go off on. Hawk Girl doesn't come back out of Swamp Thing and is still missed for some reason. The weapons that the Zebel rebels were using in Aquaman's Aqua War storyline are Atlantean for some reason. Martian Manhunter goes back to the wounded, the elderly daughter of the scientist who teleported him to Earth and pulls the piece of shrapnel out of her brain that's been, that has caused her to lose part of her mind, and she's fine now, and that doesn't really seem to set anything up. And Hugman has a snit fit, and turns
do you
out
blame him? I feel sorry
for him. I don't blame him. I mean, it's completely sucks for him, frankly, but it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, I really feel bad for him because it's like, why, that was not necessary. And then apparently Firestorm going to explode. I thought we got past that.
Nope.
Really, nobody cares.
Nope.
And then, as if we hadn't had enough setup of the existence of Swamp Thing in and of itself, Swamp Thing is not, as if it was the early 90s all over again. Swamp Thing is out there with his ecological message, murdering polluters.
Yeah.
The power is his.
Yeah.
And then the last page, a figure enters the scene of Swamp Thing's big gross murder, lights a cigarette, and it's John Constantine.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, it is.
It's like, yeah, it is. Look, you can tell it's John Constantine because he said a British swear word on the end of the page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and he looks like
I
Sting.
didn't know that was officially a
Like
swear word for the
Sting.
longest
And he looks
time.
like Sting. Because John Constantine does not look like Keanu Reeves. He looks like John Constantine. He looks like Sting. So, unlike American movies.
It's
Hopefully he smells better than Sting. I met Sting. He smells like garlic.
That's interesting.
It's a very peculiar way to end the. I mean, it's not a bad ending, but it's very strange to believe that the last year was all in aid of relaunching Swamp Thing in the DC universe.
Yeah. That's
It's
basically
like,
it
really?
all. Yeah, the whole thing comes down to bringing Swamp Thing back.
Yeah,
No,
and then
I
it's
actually like
because
this
nothing
little
that
count right
happened
here.
mattered. Oh, that is
It's like
cool.
a little Cthulhu esque picture.
You know, that's something artistically. Brightest Day has always been
Yeah.
a good book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just really weird because it's like ultimately like nothing that happened to the actual characters in this series mattered, except for Martian Manhunter because he doesn't have any obvious setup and seems quite content after everything that's going on. But everyone
Well-
else is like, yeah, we're sorted, so better slap some arbitrary cliffhangers on here to launch a variety of new series that will inevitably fail in short order on.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the thrust of Brightest Day from a mechanical standpoint was just to have a year-long story to bring a lot of these characters back. To bring back Aquaman, to bring back Martian Manhunter, to bring back Hawk, to bring back Swamp Thing, Max Lord, some of these characters that had been gone, and just sort of give a narrative vehicle for bringing all of them back. But not...
But then the fact that it was Swamp Thing.
Yeah, and just Swamp Thing out of everything.
What happened there? Like,
I didn't even know he was dead.
I suppose when you think about it, it wasn't. I mean, you had the forest and everything there from the start, but I would say that if you reread that, there are actively no hints that it's Swamp Thing at all.
Here's the question. Remember several months ago, let me pull this up, there was that DC hint image, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Did I say at the time how much I really hate those things?
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
Okay, cool. I figured I probably did, but,
Let me see if I can pull it back up. And
Okay, guys, seriously, you do that 1 second. I have got to go. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, we can edit around this or whatever.
no, I can't. But that's fine.
Be right back. Be right back.
But let's see if I can bring this up. But I mean, you know, and that's the thing to me is like, is there going to be anything that was in that image that will? Okay, I think this is it. That'll lead us to said, you know, Swamp Thing, and
I don't even remember the image. I don't even remember what it was.
let's see. Remember, it had like the shattered White Lantern on it, and it had, I don't know. Yeah, let's see. There's Hawkman and Hawkgirl helping Doug. Let me see if there's bad.
Do you have a link for it? Do you have something you can throw in there so I can look at it?
Let me see if I can find a bigger image of this.
I'm just waiting for the crossover with Swamp Thing and Garbage Man
Yes.
from Weird Worlds.
Yeah. Let me see.
They're like brothers from different mother.
So, like, Swamp Thing's back. Is Swamp Thing getting, like, ready for, like, a film or something? I mean, is DC, like, thinking, like, yeah, we really need to push Swamp Thing to the film?
I've heard rumors of it being rebooted, but what isn't being rebooted in Hollywood?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's their property. I mean, they're trying for everything. Let me see. Okay, this should be a bigger one.
So overall, do you guys think this was a successful series? I mean, I dropped it after 16 because I thought it was getting a little mundane, but of course that's when it got good.
I think it was hit and miss. I mean,
There's a lot of not good to just nothing happening to, you know, to then the last couple of issues it picked up. It's like, hey, lots of stuff's happening.
Yeah.
I see nothing in here that seems to indicate to me that Swamp Thing is going to be prominent.
We missed you.
What happened? What did I miss?
I found the image here and I'm looking at it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that get into like War of the Green Lantern. I mean, you see the portal. The portal with Hawkman and Hawkgirl is on here. Some sort of Green Lantern casket thing. Hawk and Dove carrying Jade. You see the stuff with
Dead Aquaman. Is that the same image?
Yeah, you see dead Aquaman.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't.
Martian Manhunter looks like he's either putting out a fire or starting a fire.
Yeah, you can't tell really with that. The thing with Star
So
City.
once again, just a huge collection of massively vague images that really didn't tell us anything. Like that broken White Lantern, Hal Jordan line in the middle of it, means nothing. Dead Aquaman, no, he was alive already, that didn't happen again. Hawk and Dove and Jade in the same comic, can't recall that ever happening. What is Firestorm doing under all them rocks? Not a clue. What the fuck's that shield lying there? Load of bullshit.
Well, now that was in that's the Weaponer's shield. That's from and I mean, okay, so you have
Pile of boomerangs, load of crap.
Deathstorm is under the rocks. That's what's under the rocks.
Can one of you guys put the link in the chat?
Yeah,
Can you guys put the link in the chat?
It won't let me put it in, I don't think.
There we go.
Yeah.
So.
You know, Martian Manhunter starting a fire didn't mean anything. Didn't have to fucking start any fires.
Well, there was the one fire, yeah, didn't he? I mean, didn't he?
Well, it turned out that burning it all meant fire, chucking your one into the sun.
Yeah. Now, there's eyes under that rock, but who the fuck knows what those eyes are supposed to be?
Black Manta's eyes.
Yeah, it is Black Manta's eyes. Very good.
Yeah, so they're looking at Aqualad.
Yeah.
What was his relevance? Sweet buggery all. They got out without him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You know.
So, anyway, I hate those images because they're full of fucking really... They think they're smarter than they are.
No, I mean, they show things that did
Everybody
come
who
up
is
in the
touching
comic.
ground will die.
You know.
Balls.
No. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yes, well, there you go.
So,
Back-
No,
Brightest-
but no
Brightest
mention
Day.
of frickin' Swamp Thing in there. Where's my
Yes!
Swamp Thing teaser in there? None. Don't see
Like-
it.
If at least I saw like a swampy something in the background, that would have been enough.
Maybe.
I would have
but
been happy
they're-
with that.
But they're using the White Lantern symbol on the tree trunk, and that's what.
Yeah, but that's been in Green Arrow for the last, for the whole run.
Yeah.
So what are our thoughts overall on Brightest Day then?
I think if you just take it as a vehicle to bring those characters back, it's okay. But I don't know that it was just blow me away amazing. In fact, I think it's less than the sum of its parts. I mean, I thought the other tie-ins were much better.
Well,
I
the
mean,
thing
I
is,
think
like,
that it's certainly it's no 52,
No.
No.
but it's no countdown.
Oh
No.
God, no.
well,
it's
th-
way
I gave
countdown.
up on the series. I gave up on the series. Like I said on issue 16, because it's just like, okay.
Well, that
apparently-
really was at the absolute nadir of the comic now. If anybody was going to drop it, that was when you were going to drop it. It had a decent start, dipped
Oh, yeah.
early, didn't really get any better before it completely bottomed out in the mid-teens, but then was on a pretty steady upward climb from like the late teens
Well, see,
onwards.
it was like from issue 9 to 16. There's like really nothing that happened. I'm
That
like,
was just
I'm
absolutely
giving it up. Yeah.
the
And then it was the
bottoms.
next issue with Hawkman. It was just like, okay, what the?
Yeah.
It's like
Who
really
cares
dropped at
about
the wrong
Hawkman?
time. Someone cares, Chris. Someone
Nope.
cares.
And his name is Jeff Jones.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it just seems like
Yeah.
it could have been better. But hey, I mean, now we're
It's,
going to
it's just sad because ultimately, I need to stop saying that word. I say it far too much. It's not going to be remembered for anything.
No. I mean,
It's all just, it doesn't actively accomplish anything in and of itself, except for giving these characters something to do after they came back. But then what they had to do in the end turned out to be bring back Swamp Thing.
And that's
There's
what
nothing
people are
else-
going to
the-
remember.
The
Swamp
actual,
Thing.
yeah, I mean that's it. And how long is that going to even stick? Really, how long do you see that managing to happen? I mean, sure, yeah, maybe this will have drummed up a little interest in Swamp Thing, but I don't know. I mean, if Jeff Jones writes it, I'll give it a look. But
I doubt that.
yeah,
I mean, he's getting,
He's doing Aquaman, right?
that's the
yeah.
thing is, like, we've got, I mean, there's nothing on the solicits right now for a Swamp Thing
yes.
series. So what are they going to, are they going to do the same thing with this JLI, where it's going to happen after Flashpoint, and then who's going to care by that point?
Well, to be honest now, it does seem that the Swamp Thing story is going to be kept on the boil by a miniseries that kicks off next month. It's called, is it next month or is it the month after?
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
did
different.
see that there was something with Superman and John Constantine and something else maybe coming up.
Yes. Brightest Day Aftermath, The Search for Swamp Thing. It's a 3-issue miniseries.
That
The
should-
original solicits were not very clear because they had to A, hide it was Swamp Thing, and B, hide who the character was that was searching for him. So you
Yeah.
learned absolutely nothing about the series. But obviously it is where the Swamp Thing and Constantine's story is going to happen. Written by, I don't remember who the writer is because it's nobody who wrote Brightest Day, so why is it happening? Purely
it's-
to keep the story percolating while Jeff Jones frees up the time to do it.
So it's not Alan Moore, right?
No.
Then why would you care?
Aw.
No.
I don't know. I just, it's okay. Like I said, I liked Brightest Day for some of the side stuff. I think in particular, obviously I love the Gen Lost. There were a couple other issues of some of the other tie-in stuff that was really good, but, ultimately
There's
I think the
something
main
that turned
line...
out to be startlingly inconsequential up until because nothing that the characters actually did really had any bearing on where it was going to go in the end. It was supposed to be just like each story was a personal voyage for them to get there, like to accomplish the tasks that the ring set for them. But unless I'm missing something, I didn't see how the natures of the tasks In fact, I'm not even going to feign humility on this. The natures of the tasks did not correlate in any way to the elementals that they became, or to the nature of being an elemental or anything like that. It was like, you do this to pad for about 20 issues, then I'll give you a whistle and come on over till we wrap this up.
Right.
Was kind of how it went. It was like,
and it wasn't even.
What? Yeah.
And it wasn't even all the characters. They resurrected 12 characters, and not even all of them ended up being involved in the mainline Brightest
Because
Day
they weren't
thing.
elementals.
I love the.
So then, what was the point?
I love the one panel that basically says, and this is what happened to Maxwell Lord since he wasn't in this series. And this is what happened to Jade since she wasn't in this series. And this is what happened to Osiris who wasn't in this series.
Then why were they I didn't even understand what it was trying to say their role was ultimately. I mean, stop the war that...
At least. I don't know what the point of Max's thing was, but they did at least try to justify...
Well, Max's thing was so stupid. It's that, it's the bell that didn't ring. I mean, essentially, Max stopped a war from happening that didn't happen. What? Great. Okay.
Well, the war would have happened if he hadn't stopped it.
Yeah, but there was no reference to it other than that saying. I mean, essentially, all that we can conclude is that Max stopped Kingdom Come.
Yeah, basically. I mean, at least from the explanations they give here, Jade and Osiris were at least have some tertiary connection to the idea of Swamp Thing coming back. Jade balanced the darkness within her brother, which would have empowered the corrupted Swamp Thing and made him nearly unstoppable. Bullshit, but okay. And Osiris helped his sister Isis, the goddess of nature, return. Now, she will aid Alec Holland, so, okay, there's that. So they at least get some sort of justification. Not entirely sure what good bringing back the Reverse Flash does.
Yeah, what did that do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than...
I guess it's because they needed Barry Allen to come back and save the world in Final Crisis.
They needed...
But then that means that the white light was seeing through time as well. So I don't even know.
Anyway.
All that matters is that at the
end... They must
end,
have read the script.
All that matters is that at the end, Swamp Thing killed the BP executives.
Yeah. Yeah. That it did.
It did.
So,
so it's not 52, but it's no countdown either. And in fact, I'd say I enjoyed it more than Trinity as well.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely number 2 on the sliding scale of 4 weekly, year-long series.
Yeah. Which will be on to Flashpoint now? Is that... When does...
Flashpoint is not... Well, Fear Itself 2 is next week, so we'll be talking about next week.
Cool.
And I believe Flashpoint is the week after that.
Awesome. So, we'll get right back into the thick of things here at Fanboy Versus. We apparently don't take breaks, even when we're in severe pain, to do this show. So, okay. Well, that's it. That's going to be the show for there. So, hopefully... please take a chance. See Thor if you're in the U.S. this week. We'll talk about that.
For
hopefully.
sure.
We ain't going to be holding back on the spoilers next week.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So, don't forget Free Comic Book Day here in the U.S. is next Saturday. So check that out. Go to your local comic. My shop, if you're in the Oklahoma City area, New World Comics, they're having a huge sale. Lots of big % off depending on what time you go in. So New World Comics, that's off of 63rd and Meridian in Oklahoma City, northwest side. So otherwise, again, don't forget Screen Views is going to be coming out from the TF Radio Network, reviewing Thor. That is going to be a weekly, so check that out. Lots of stuff that we'll be covering there. Movies, big summer of movies. That's why we're getting Screen Views going, so it's going to be a lot to cover with that.
That'll be fun. That'll be a fun show.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun. Like I said, it's going to be kind of rotating cast. It's not going to be as regular maybe as some of our other shows as far as the cast goes. But we're definitely going to have good stuff on there. So don't forget to check out Comic News Comic News International. That's typically where we get the news for the show. You can also see stuff that's coming up. Upcoming releases and things, they post that there as well. So check that out. And, of course, tfradio.net for all of the other shows on the TF Radio Network. Check us out on Twitter, Fanboy VS. That's our Twitter feed for the show, where you'll get updates and everything about what's going on with the show, retweets maybe as well. Sometimes we'll even live tweet during the show when I'm not feeling bad. So anyway.
I did it a couple times.
There you go.
In there.
So see, Nicole's on it for us. So all right. Well, anyway, anything else before we go? None.
No, I don't think I have anything to add.
Awesome. Well, hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in every week. We do appreciate you being here, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.